Hi, Dylan.
We're back. It's
We are so back.
been a
Little
couple
hiatus.
weeks. We got
Little
lucky that
hiatus.
the week Sydney was gone to her vacation, there was no race. So it was
There was no race. It was perfect. I actually was awake while said race was going on, but
she did spoil it for me.
Uber.
I don't know if you actually told you that, but you absolutely spoiled it for me. Uh
Me?
I'm watching the race in the morning with my dad, 10 in the morning, right? The race is already done. I had it recorded. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb. Me being me, I was good. Didn't look at Instagram, didn't look at anything. I look at a text from Sydney. Ocon got P5? I was like, I guess Ocon got P5, Sydney. I don't know. Race is going. Ocon didn't get P5 in the race. I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? Oop, can't curse. Sorry. Sorry, mom. Um, of course, the Ferraris DQ'd. Not great. But
Yep. Who
we'll talk
cares
about
for
that
that?
after. Um, we got a good little
I
lineup
didn't
of
know.
things going on today. So
I didn't know I spoiled it.
yeah, I
But all
forgot
I
to
can
tell you.
say, Ocon 2025. Let's
UConn
do it.
2025. So,
Ocon 2025.
but we have a nice little genre or a nice little podcast set up for you guys today. A lot
I'm
of stuff
excited.
went down. We had a sprint race and a main race last race in China.
Good.
Um, and a lot of stuff has happened in between then that we will get into. Yuki's finally getting a shot, and we're gonna break that down a little bit more. But
Let's just
first off,
pray.
we're also gonna say Sydney's birthday's next week. Birthday podcast next week.
Birthday
Mhm. So
podcast.
we'll we'll see.
Dylan's buying me tickets. No, I'm kidding. If
I don't
only.
even have money for
I
myself to
don't
buy
either.
tickets.
I don't either.
Well, one day when this podcast blows up,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll
But
get the VIP lanyards.
podium passes, just everything, right? So
Oh yeah.
pit
Oh
passes,
yeah.
everything. But let's get right
Okay.
into it. The
Let's do
Chinese
it. Let's
Grand
kick
Prix.
off.
A lot of stuff happened this weekend. It was a sprint race, which I want to get your thoughts on the sprint races because it's fun because you get another race to watch, but there's nothing that happens. It was very boring. The storyline was cool, but like nothing really happened.
I feel like my overall opinion on sprint races in general, I mean, I feel like they're very useful when you're later in the season and maybe there's
More
a
points
little
to
more
be
yeah, a little less
had.
points to be won, and that kind of gives you the opportunity to shift some stuff up. But I feel like at the end of the day, I don't really see a purpose for them anymore. Like they're
Is
cool because it allows other people to kind of showcase maybe, but at the same time, it's like
yeah. It doesn't have that same kind of benefits as it used to, I guess we could say, because it's something that me and my dad have talked about. Obviously, I talk about my dad a lot. He's the one I watch the races with, so we talk a lot about it. Maybe a guest on the podcast in the future, who knows?
yes. Oh my gosh,
That would be great.
we totally should.
But he brings up the good point. I bring up the good point as well. The sprints used to count for qualifying for the main race. That made the sprint kind of interesting and made it kind of necessary for people to try. But like you saw last weekend, Lando got kind of behind right away. He said he was pushing his hardest, but didn't really seem like he was.
Obviously, it was
Like
not.
he was struggling. I don't think he was really trying to take any risks in the sprint race when you know you have the main race the next day and you don't want to trash the car.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that's a good point too, because it's almost just kind of put it to where there's no stake in it. It's just
yeah.
another.
Which, and you saw it, Lando then proceeds to qualify P3 and then main race and goes one. So,
Exactly. So it's I like again, I think maybe it gives people some opportunities to showcase, but I
yeah.
don't really I
Which
mean
you've
with
seen too. Like
yeah,
Pierre
you have.
Gasly has been fantastic, which very unfortunate what happened to him in the main race, but he's been very good and he showed it.
He has. And it's
Even
like I feel like
Stroll, Lance Stroll
also
too.
I know, I'm very impressed with him this season. I feel like he's coming out of nowhere just a
Yeah.
little bit.
And when we do our fantasy recap, we'll explain it. But my dad
A little bit.
mentioned today, Lance Stroll has been added to his fantasy team, which is
Which
crazy. But
crazy take. Actually, I don't even remember if I have him, but we'll get to that
I
later.
do
We'll
not.
get to that later.
We'll get to it later. But we'll start sprint race recap. Ferrari fans were very happy right away.
Very
Lewis
happy this
Hamilton
weekend.
on
I was
pole.
kind of a little nervous going in after the sprint, like
It's
results. I was like, uh-oh, what
Lewis,
are we doing
for lack of a better
here?
word, kind of dominated the entire sprint. Like he was started on pole on the sprint, didn't let go
It was
on the
gorgeous.
start,
It
ended up
was
winning the race by
gorgeous.
7 seconds. So Prime
Lewis was
Lewis
back.
showed up for a
Is
minute.
all I
Lewis
can
was
say.
back for a minute, which was cool to
All I
see.
can say, he was back. He was
The
so
fact that
back.
he won a race in Ferrari in his second weekend is pretty cool. Maybe gives a little
It was
sign for the
awesome.
future.
Yes, it was very awesome. I feel like that also just kind of proved that, like, even though Ferrari has had some issues that they've displayed, I mean, given we're only what,
Two
two
races
races in,
in.
I feel like that was very confident boosting for the entire team. I think that was
Which
needed. It was cool to
sure,
see him be
surely
able
that confidence booster will last for the entire weekend, right? Surely. Of
to.
course, of course. But we did see a little hiccup from Lando, like we mentioned. Lando had a pretty bad start to the race, ended up in the gravel, or in the dirt. Lost a lot of momentum, ended up dropping down to P9 at one point. Um, didn't really have it afterwards. Wasn't great to see, but at the same time, like we mentioned, it didn't seem like he was taking the crazy risks
Not
to
really, which I
make
understand.
it.
I mean, why risk it? If
Yeah,
again, if it doesn't count for anything, why go and destroy my car when I could go earn
exactly. So
double the
he
points?
did end up making a place back up at the end, but nothing really to show for there. Max and Oscar had a nice little battle for a little bit. Max was complaining that he was getting dirty air. Leclerc and Russell also had a nice little battle, but nothing really came of it there either. Something that I wrote in my notes here, I'm looking at, which we're not too shocked about. We'll talk about that later as well. RB's looking very fast, which is interesting.
One
How the
RB
Red Bull is
looking
really
very
bad, but the
fast.
RB's really good. It's crazy.
A singular Red Bull car is
The
looking very
singular Red
fast,
Bull car is fast. The actual Racing Bulls team seems fast for their liking, and the
which is
other,
cool. I kind of love that. That's
which is
awesome.
cool, but the other Red Bull is a tractor. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, basically sprint race, nothing more happened. Lewis kind of dominated it. Ferrari was looking good.
There was nothing to write home about, honestly, other than the
Nothing
fact
right
that
home.
Lewis is back? Question
Lewis is
mark?
back, maybe.
Are
Spoiler
we?
alert. He wasn't back. He was
It's
not
not back.
back.
It's very much so
We
not
get to the
back.
main race, and Oscar Piastri, as I've been saying for the first 2 weeks, is going to take it to Lando this year, and it's
Our
going to
little
be fun.
Aussie,
It is
Aussie, Aussie,
going to be
Aussie.
fun. I don't like, I think he's going to finish ahead of Max in the Drivers' Championship.
I
Obviously, the
agree. I
car
hope he
is
does
kind of
too.
a
I
reason
really
for
hope he
that,
does.
but he's looked fantastic. He takes pole for the race. Russell was P2, and Lando ends up P3 off the
Agree,
start,
yo.
with Max in P4. The start of the race,
Lights
Oscar,
out,
like always, lights out and away we go. Oscar, like
dominated.
always, was
First
fantastic off
race.
the start, kept the lead, and a rare Lando Norris good start because he
It
passed
was
Russell, but
beautiful. That was beautiful. I was a little nervous there, but
it
it was a
was
gorgeous maneuver on his parts.
very nice to see because he hasn't done
After
that.
trading in,
I
I
thought
feel
we
like
were
you just.
getting the old Lando after watching the sprint race. So
I agree. I was gonna say he definitely got his training in during the off season on his starts, and I am
keep it
happy
up. Keep it
camper.
at it. Keep it at
I'm a happy camper.
it did lead to some fun racing at the beginning. Russell was kind of trying to go back after Lando at the beginning to see if he can take P2 and kind of hold it for a little bit and just kind of interrupt Lando's race. But I think Russell kind of realized that the McLarens are going to be 1-2 and they're going to be faster than everyone, so there's no reason to destroy your tires to do that.
Was
So
not.
Lando ends up taking P2, kind of running away for a little bit, but that'll change later. And Max, in a rare form of weakness, gets passed by both Ferraris on the opening lap.
No, I don't think I don't agree with the Red Bull Fast comment. I don't they're too all over the place to have a confident opinion on whether their car is good or not.
Well, their car is definitely not good. It's just a matter of it's Max makes the car good. So it kind of shows that Max has to be. literally perfect for that car to
For
bring
it's
anything.
yeah, it has to be a perfect storm in order for them to do well,
Which,
which is
if
not
anyone's
a
gonna
good thing
do that,
to
if
do.
anyone's gonna do it, it's Max. But say you put Max in literally any other car, it doesn't even have to be the McLaren. Like if Max is in a Ferrari right now, he's competing for wins every week, which he still is in a Red Bull, which is insane. But
Yep.
got passed on the start by both Ferraris. Leclerc made contact with Lewis on the first turn and lost his part of his front wing, which turns out to be a pretty big story at the end because we're not gonna spoil it yet. But race after that kind of goes pretty normally. After the first pits, this is where McLaren has to kind of figure it out because
I don't know what their plan is.
well, it's very obvious that they're going to favor whoever's winning the race in that current moment, right? Which is acceptable. Like that's the right way to do it. However, it almost ended up screwing Lando because they pit Oscar first. Russell
I
pits
saw
with
that.
Oscar, and Lando has to keep going because they didn't have enough
And it
of a
was
double
late,
stack.
late on his exit.
Late on the exit as well, and Russell ends up undercutting. Not that it really mattered. Lando immediately passes him right away, but it's just something to think about with McLaren. They even mentioned that they were trying to create a little bit of a gap between them in the race to see if a double stop was possible. It wasn't, unfortunately. It didn't matter in the end, but just something to look at. But that also led to
Exactly.
a fun part. We had a Williams leading a race this week for
For kind of a
like
long
half. It
time.
was
Our
not a
little
long
Alex
time.
Albon over here.
It was not a
Something
long time. It was a long time in
maybe,
our world for the two laps that it was.
maybe, maybe we'll see this in the future. I'm hoping.
That's
But
another topic
I'm
of
glad that
conversation because
I'm
Sainz
glad to
does
hear
not look good.
that.
Sainz,
Okay, but I was gonna say that I heard Sign's car is not right. I think it was a chassis issue, is what I was hearing.
I did not see that. That's interesting.
I
I informed the
might be
shop around
lying.
because he
That
was.
might not be factual information, but I feel like I heard that Signs may be getting new parts in the car.
I did also. I think a couple teams are getting some new stuff this week, so
I
that should
think
be fun.
Signs
But
might be getting some
you
new
also
stuff.
have to imagine that Williams is probably going to favor Albon at the beginning because of the fact that he's been there longer and he knows the car, and
True.
Sainz is going to
Makes
take
sense.
some time to get used to it. And everyone knows that, but.
Makes sense. I don't think he's performing awful. I think it's kind of hard to gauge his performance since he didn't have a first race.
Mhm. So this is true. It was his first true race with Williams. That is a good point to kind of think about. But
Start to
um,
finish.
other than that, race was pretty boring, to be completely honest with
Like,
you.
again, nothing to write home about.
A
There
lot of
was
like movement in the back, which is cool, but like no points really mattered from it, so it didn't really become a topic of conversation. Like Liam
not
Lawson was
really.
kind of driving extremely aggressively because he kind of had to. Ollie Behrman looked good, which was
Did you hear Ollie's comment to Lawson when he passed him?
ciao.
Ciao. They're like, nice one, Ollie.
Ollie looked great because that first weekend scared me. The
He was doing
lack
great
of
this
practice time and no
weekend.
qualifying last time was a
He
little
did pretty
scary.
well. I think I want to say him and Kimmy are probably going to be the two stars of the season in terms of rookies that are going to
Which
outperform.
I think it kind of shows how everyone was kind of overreacting on Ollie at the beginning because his bad practices and then the qualify. He ends up being one of two rookies to finish the first race. Ends up being one of the better racers just in general last week. The fact that he didn't win driver of the day is crazy. Kimmy somehow won it, and even he was shocked that he won it. When Toto went on the radio and said
I
Kimmy
feel like
driver of the
I'm
day.
getting I'm getting kind of like Danny Rick vibes from Kimmy for some reason. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of my opinion on him. I don't know why.
He's just kind of there and funny. Because like he's so young and
He's
it's
just
kind of weird.
he's full of
But
life.
I saw
It's like I don't know how to describe it. He just reminds me of him for some reason.
it's also very fun in the fact that I'm on F1 TikTok now, right? Because that's all I kind of pay attention to. Me and
Yup,
Sydney
it's
have
all I
our
see.
Instagram pages. You look at our Instagram chats, it's just F1
F1, F1,
memes,
F1,
F1
F1.
news, like everything, right? But I'm on F1 TikTok because I watch two videos. And I have a video of some random girl that Kimmy goes to school with in class with Kimmy in the classroom.
Oh my God, isn't he 17?
It's Kimmy and like a bunch of high school kids.
Oh my
And
God.
it's so weird. The fact that the kid is in school, he's gone on and said that he's trying to take his finals now and he just doesn't have time to do it because he's racing.
I'm
And
surprised he's
all
still
the
in
memes of
school.
Toto, I can't come to work today. I have to take my finals is
I
even funnier.
take my science exam. I didn't realize I was surprised he's not like homeschooled or you know what I
That was
mean? How, like some
shocking to me
kids
too.
like do school like online.
You'd
I
also
mean,
think,
good for him,
yeah, you
but
also have to think like some of these F2 drivers are super young. I'm sure they're having people come to them for their schooling. So the fact that Kimmy's in F1 and
literally
doesn't
in
have that
class.
and is in an actual school is kind of impressive. But it
Crazy.
also could just
Good
be
for
his
him.
decision that he didn't want to do it. So, but it is kind of wild to think that that man is making millions and millions of dollars at 17 years old, but he's just a normal kid like we were back five
It's
years ago.
crazy. I want to say I saw a video either on Instagram or TikTok too that I want to say it was Kimmy and somebody, but they stole their trainer's credit card. Did you hear
It
about
was
that?
Kimmy and Ollie.
Yes, it was like
Kimmy
I
and Ollie
and
stole Ollie's trainer's credit card, bought a bunch of stuff,
then
and
sent it
the
to
trainer
his
didn't
house.
know about it. So the two millionaires, the two under 20 millionaires are stealing from the trainer.
They're stealing people's credit cards and committing credit card fraud is what they're doing, which is
It's
crazy. I thought
crazy.
that
The
was
rookies are
so
gonna be
funny.
fun. The rookies are gonna be fun, but we
It's a
got
good
sidetracked
it's
because we haven't even talked about the biggest point in this race this week is the fact that Ferrari manages to finish a very respectable fifth and sixth, right? They got paxed by Max after they overtook him originally. Most people do, right? Not that
a
big of a deal.
shock. A
Five,
shocker.
six, you can be happy with that. The McLarens are going to get one, two. Russell's, for whatever reason, really good this year. Five,
Oh my
six is
God, got it?
respectable. Yay, Ferrari, good day. Cool.
Nope.
Nope. Both of them get DQ'd.
Nope.
They not only did one get DQ'd,
Can never win.
they both did.
Never win.
It's, I believe, what was the reasoning? So Lewis, I believe, well, let me confirm. I believe
They were
Leclerc was
off
underweight.
by like I want to say Leclerc was underweight, and then I want to say Lewis's was it like his wing or something was like
Yes. Leclerc was
a
marginally
millimeter
underweight.
or something too big.
Mhm. Lewis
It
Hamilton.
was like crazy. Somebody was comparing like the difference, and it was like the size of a credit
Yeah.
card,
They were a victim
which
of
is
the
crazy.
FIA being very, very specific, which they have to be, right? It's part of the regulations, but Lewis is in breach of a technical regulation relating to the rearward skid, according to Formula1.com. And Leclerc was 1 kilogram underweight. One singular kilogram.
Pierre, what was Pierre? Pierre was he had the same issue that Lewis had, right?
Gasly, I'm not sure. You can
I
tell how
forget what
prepared
he
I
had.
was
I
for
didn't
this
really pay
event.
attention. I didn't pay attention to what
Um,
he had. I want to say it was the same problem as Lewis.
Gasly was, this is, okay, yeah, no, that is last week. Breaches for technical regulation. I don't know if it was the same thing, but another
But
thing.
it was another, of
It wasn't
course.
a weight issue. It was kind of like the Leclerc thing, the weight issue, it's kind of just happens every once in a while, right? It's unfortunate.
I think it
It's
happened to Russell last year
it,
too.
it happened to Russell in the race that he did the one stop and went from like
Yeah, and he
to
got
first. It was ridiculous, which was really upsetting. But that that one is a little more excusable for the fact that he just pushed the car to the limits the entire time. Ferrari cannot be doing incorrect calculations for their weight to be down because that's with the gas and everything, right? And
especially a
technical regulations.
kilogram too.
Yeah, it's marginal, but enough, right?
It's
So
enough.
Ferrari goes from the highest of highs in the sprint with Lewis
The
winning
that was
to like
um,
the all right, we're okay to the lowest of lows in a span of 24 hours. Which, if that doesn't tell you what
well,
it's
that's
like
why
to
I
be a
said
Ferrari
like
fan, I don't know.
I like sprint race, dude, literally. And it's like I like again, like I said, like I like the sprint races because it gives people like Lewis in this instance to at least get some points and kind of prove that, hey, we're actually not that bad.
We're around here.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, like you can't, there's like what, how many sprint races in the season?
Not enough.
Like -3. So it's like that doesn't even count for anything.
Yeah. So it's it's going to be interesting for Ferrari because they have to bounce back, and this would be the place to do it. Do it now as opposed to waiting because we've seen what happens when you wait too long with McLaren, right? McLaren didn't have the car last year to really compete for a driver's championship, and suddenly Lando's kind of in that realm of possibility to catch Max, but they don't know if they should really commit to it, and they didn't.
And they
He
should
was never
have.
going to catch him last year, but
Still should have.
had he had that car last year, that would have been an incredible, incredible
It
battle.
would have been an amazing. It was already an amazing season, but it would have been even better. It would have been awesome. But I also like I was gonna mention this earlier too. It makes me wonder how this would be going had maybe Sainz stayed in Ferrari and maybe Lewis hadn't moved to Ferrari. Like I'm wondering if there would still be this bad of issues or if it's just because
I think it's the
you know what
team.
I
I don't
mean?
know if it's really a Lewis thing. I think it's more
I
so.
don't think it is either, but I'm very curious because I feel like looking at last season, like I feel like Ferrari was like they were bad. I mean, they had their issues here and
But
there, but
you
it
also see, as we saw at the first race, that Sainz has such a racing mind that even if he's not physically in the car, or even if he is, he can kind of
he's still
communicate and
able.
tell like
Exactly.
what needs to be done, which is why I think Williams is going to be so good in the future because Albon's the same way. Like they're going to be great, but obviously we
I'm
can't say
excited for
that.
I'm very
We
excited for Blake.
I'm very excited for that too, but it's not like we could say Lewis isn't that because Lewis is the greatest racer of all time. But he's also not been with Ferrari for very long, so the communication's probably not great yet. But like, Sainz was with them for
I mean, that
years.
was
Like it's
you could see that in the first race when yeah. I don't
which
know.
it's gonna
I feel
take
like they're
time. They'll
treating him
figure
like
it
a
out.
rookie. They're treating him like a rookie when he's a very much
Best
so not.
racer, their best racer of all time. Yeah. So,
Yes.
which is the best team of all time and the
Understatement.
best racer of all time. You would think that would work, right? But
I feel like they're treating him like a rookie, and I feel like there's
I
it's
think that's a
like,
great way to put it because I didn't think of that, but the way that they radio messages, especially in the first week, were kind of babying him a little bit. He
and he
does.
was like, "Why? Like,
Yeah,
stop."
exactly. But we can talk about an actual rookie now because there's been some
All the drama.
nonstop drama with Red Bull. Because when is there not drama with Red Bull? But Liam Lawson, not totally shockingly, it was definitely shocking in the fact that they actually did it, but people thought it was possible. Has been replaced at Red Bull by Yuki Tsunoda. Lawson goes back down to RB, which I think might be more beneficial for him in the long run.
I agree. I
The
agree.
fact that they gave him two races though is Red Bull has
I
got like it's the curse of the second seat. It truly is.
I I don't know. I have very strong feelings towards this because I feel like they had already made their minds up after the first race. And it's like we're two races into the season. The first race was a whole wreck in itself in terms of whether it's the first race of the season. Like you can't make judgments off of that. Like,
People
and I
also
feel like
don't remember that Lawson didn't really have that much practice time for
he
that
did.
race
That's
either.
what I'm saying. Like
Very similar.
you can't. I under like I remember reading something. I want to say it was a comment from Max or somebody else that I had seen online, and they were like Formula One is very high intense. Like you have to perform. If you don't perform, like you're gonna face the repercussions. And I get that, obviously, but it's just like he's a rookie. He has obviously shown that he is very much so capable to drive at this level of performance. And you given him literally not even 2 minutes in the hot seat and then booted him out.
It's
Why?
you've seen the
There's
potential with them.
why?
His first race with I believe they were still off Atari at the time. It's 2 years ago now. I don't have a great memory.
They changed like every once. I couldn't.
He first race in. This is a mid season replacement. He replaced Danny Rick mid season because Danny Rick got hurt. First race in an F1 car, and he's out qualified Max Verstappen. That's his first time. Not only was that his first time, or it wasn't his first race, it was the second or third race, but it was the first couple races.
It's something like that.
You're out, you're doing that to Max Verstappen, not to mention you're supposed to probably technically be his third or fourth teammate because they're a sister team, and you just showed no care for it and do it anyway because you have to prove yourself, right? You know the potential's there. The fact that he got demoted this quickly is pathetic on Red Bull. You guys have all heard my thoughts on Helmut Marko. I cannot stand him,
We don't even get started on him.
but it's definitely I think it's going to be better for his career in the long term because I
I
truly
think
think RB might have the better car right now, or at least the easier car to drive.
I agree.
But it's there's just they're in shambles. They've always been in shambles. They've ever since Daniel Ricciardo left the second seat in Red Bull, it's been just constant
Disaster.
turnover, right? Yeah, Pierre Gasly, who can't do it. He was
Nope.
good for a little bit, can't do it. You have Alex Albon,
Mm-mm.
showed flashes when
Can't
Lewis
do it.
spun him when he was in the position to get a podium and a win, kind of ruined him. He's gone. Checo, fantastic. He had a great 2 years. After those 2 years, started faltering until last year when he was the worst driver probably on the grid. But is he
So I
actually the
think
worst driver on the grid now? Because we can't tell
no.
because his car's been so bad.
That's what I said. You can't. I don't. I mean, obviously, I can't tell, and I've never driven the car, obviously. But it's like there seems to be a pattern here, and you can't win an entire championship based off a singular car and a singular driver.
Which we've seen because that is
Just putting
exactly
that
what they
out
did last
there.
year. So
And it's just like you also can't expect to be building great drivers such as Max if you don't even give them the chance for more than 2 minutes in the
it's
hot
just
seat.
it's very interesting, right? Because you would think that Red Bull would learn this by now. Max has a very different driving strategy to every other driver on the grid, right? The car Red Bull built is built for Max Verstappen, and it always has been. Every single second car has also done the same thing. But because it's built for Max and no one else, no one can drive it. So why would you not try to switch something up at least? Granted,
It
this is
it,
something
it
I wanted to
doesn't
get into now because if anyone has the mentality and the ability to drive a car like Max Verstappen, I think Yuki's one of them. I think it's a very good
I think
possibility,
that's a
right?
pretty, yeah, that's a
Because
pretty fair
Yuki kind of
statement.
drives like,
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. Yuki kind of drives like a maniac most of the time, which is very similar to Max, right?
He's
Max has
kind of
no,
crazy. He's kind of crazy. I don't know if people notice that, but he's low-key kind of cray-cray.
yeah, exactly. And Max has no regard for human life when he drives. So I think Yuki is very similar in that aspect. So I think it could work, but it could be a win-win for both drivers, but Red Bull's got to figure it out some way. I will say it is also a little bit fishy to me. Like obviously the timing's right, but if this wasn't that Japanese race this weekend, I don't think this move happens. But I think because Yuki is a home race for him, the sponsorship money
Yeah.
is kind of massive, and he's going to actually get a chance to perform at home. It's makes sense why they're doing now, but it also could be very embarrassing for Yuki if it ends up being very bad. So Yuki's
Makes
taking a
sense.
big
I
risk.
believe it. I believe it. I mean, that makes sense. I just like, I don't know. I think that was overall a poor move on Red Bull's part. Not even in ter it might have been a good move, like in hindsight, but I think maybe morally and overall team ethically wise, I think it was a horrible move on their part.
We also saw like drivers around the grid kind of rallying with Lawson. Like you saw, like you mentioned, Max was liking Instagram posts, kind of defending Liam. Like Oscar liked the same one. I saw that as well. Lando was talking about it a little bit. It's it's nice to see that everyone's kind of interconnected, which is cool. But
Interconnected in a way, which it's very nice to see that, but it's just like, you're killing this kid's spirit without even giving him a chance, which it sucks. I'm glad that he's still able to compete, but it's like
there was talks of him just being out of F1 entirely, which would have been
that would
awful.
have been
Because
horrible.
he's a good racer. He's not Red Bull ready, but most drivers
No,
aren't. So.
no, I don't know. We'll see. I agree with your statement though. I think this move is probably better for him long term to at least ease him into the
Build his
Formula
confidence
One
back up because
thing.
he's
Yeah.
now the clear number one driver at RB, right? Isaac's raced two races and he didn't even start one of them. So one race. Lawson has had multiple years of experience.
Yeah.
Got it. Never a full season. He's still considered a rookie, but he's going to have a chance to kind of have this team to himself and show what he can do. And who knows, maybe he's even competing with Max now because the fact that Yuki was kind of competing with Max, not like
Yeah,
directly,
I
but
guess
like
I think this will be an interesting race with the switch around and seeing how it kind of plays out, I guess.
which
But
people,
I don't know. I just
yeah, people don't realize it though, like because of the fact that Yuki has not finished in the points yet, to my knowledge, right? Did he? I'm looking at it right now.
I don't I think he was just
He
out of
was
the points
P,
last.
no, he was P19 last week because his wing just disintegrated in like 5 laps to
I
go.
know, which is weird because I think they were talking about it being from like the exhaust from the car in front. I don't remember what they said. I don't know the
Well,
exact
I remember
technical
it was
terms.
poor strategy race one where he finished 12th, but he was up in like fourth at one point, I believe, or
I would
sixth or
say he
something
was
like
like
that.
up in the points. I just don't think he finished in the
Yeah. And
points.
then it was the exact same thing last week. Qualified well, and then the wing spontaneously combusts and we're back down. But
Here's the car.
I think if there's any, I want nothing more than a Yuki podium this week. And I hate Red Bull, but oh my God, would that be electric? One,
It would be cool. It would
make
be
him
very
look
cool.
like the best driver in the world because of the
It
fact
would be
that
very cool.
no one else has been able to do it. It would make Lawson look pretty terrible, but it would also make
Uh,
Yuki kind of like a gigantic screw you to Helmut Marko, which, as we know, we would love,
we need one.
and be
Thank you very
like,
much.
you guys could have done this 3 years ago, or even longer than that at this point, and here we are now where I'm doing it. So
I just don't understand the strategy. They're literally a ship on fire, and if they don't fix it now, it's gonna start sinking.
it's already sinking, and they got to get the
Like
water off the ship.
I don't know what their plan is, but
Neither do I, but that'll be a fun one to kind of
oh,
watch this weekend. But
I did.
as we move on, F1 fantasy. We do
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
our weekly fantasy updates. And I made the realization this morning, or not even this morning, a couple minutes ago, right before we started this podcast.
Literally, yeah, like literally 2 seconds ago.
I tried to pull a little fast one. I heard the Yuki rumors. It wasn't official yet. But I said, you know what? Yuki Tsunoda is probably going to be a pretty good Red Bull driver. Now, you guys are probably going to laugh at me next week when Yuki finishes out of the points again. But I like where he's going to be, right? So, me being me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to be sneaky and put Yuki on my team before they make the move official. So, that's exactly what I did. I put Yuki on my team before the move was official. I looked at it right before we did this podcast because I wanted to check the stats again. Turns out you're not able to do that. And because Yuki switched teams, the Yuki that I put on my team was considered inactive. So I had to take him off and replace him with Liam Lawson, which is very annoying. Very, very annoying indeed.
You're gonna hate me. You know what I just realized?
What did you just,
Yuki's on my team.
as in you're gonna have to switch him out too? Yes,
No, like he's already on my team.
but it's not making you switch him out. That's ridiculous. If that's actually the case, I'm gonna be really mad. You can't be serious. Yuki's not on the team and are friendly.
I'm
So
so serious right now.
where is this? That's ridiculous. That's insane.
Whatever.
How,
Whoop, whoop.
well, turns out F1 screws me. But let's do a little recap of what we had last week because it wasn't great at all for me specifically. It was very good for Sydney, which was a little switch,
It
right?
was
Because it was the
fantastic
opposite
for
last time,
me.
right? We'll go down the
It
list.
was.
We'll go down the list of people this week. Worst in our league this week was Zoogs, which is Nick's friend. He only put up 5 points last week because he had,
Which
which is hilarious, but you can understand why when you look at it. Charles Leclerc with 2x and because he DQ'd, he
The
had negative 24. Alonso, who was the only person to not finish the race, was minus 16. Albon 11, Behrman 20, Hadjar 11. Very solid, right? Williams 26. Very solid, right? He had Ferrari in his team.
Ferrari.
So Ferrari by themselves, because we're counting Leclerc, combined for negative 47 points for Zooks. Add that to the negative
That's
16 of Alonso.
crazy.
He ends up with 5 points. Not great. Fourth place this week, after taking the throne last week, was me, unfortunately. I put up
I'm in
144
fourth
points.
place.
What's that?
I'm in fourth place.
You're in fourth place now, and I'm talking for last week, just the race last week.
Oh,
So, I put up 144 points last week. 2 through 4 were fairly close, but I was in fourth. Lando 82, Max 30, Bortoleto 7, Hadjar 11. I also have Alonso, so might need to figure that one out because that's 0 for 2 on finishes for Alonso. Williams and Aston Martin, nothing really to report. I would have had a better week had Alonso not done what he did. So third place, Peter. Virtually the exact same thing to me. He had Max, Oscar, Sainz, had Alonso, screwed him. Nico, Williams, and Haas had a 47-point week. That's insane. Didn't realize that. But they look
which
very
is
good.
bonkers.
Bonkers indeed. And now second for last week, I want to let you talk about it a little bit because it was you. You had a nice little week. Tell me about it.
I did. I kind of planned it out, honestly, pretty nice. I had Piastri winning on times two. And then I had Russell, who did fantastic this race. So he gave me
Best of the
35
rest.
points. I had both my Williams finish. So I had Sainz and Albon. So I got 8 and 11 points with them. And then my little Esty bestie got points. Fantastic. Brought me home 24 points. And then I had Williams also bring me home 26 points. And my Alpine sadly did not. But
Negative.
I would have had Gasly not
But
DQ'd.
you also listen to this though, that had Gasly not DQ'd and the Ferrari's not been DQ'd, Ocon would not have 25
Esty would
points.
have got me.
So it kind
Exactly.
of balances it out.
A
180
win is a
points this
win.
week. A win is a win. You had a very good week. Going to number one, I don't know how he did this
He,
because Nick Angelino dropped 284 points this week without using a 3x. And he did the strategy that I've done on a couple of teams in the past and being very McLaren heavy. Has Lando, Sainz, Behrman, Hulkenberg, and Ocon. So Behrman and Ocon popped off. Lando, of course, popped off with 82. Sainz and Hulkenberg, nothing to report. But he also had Haas with 47. Incredible. McLaren as a team
and
had
McLaren with
101
a
points this week.
hundred.
101 points.
What is he on?
So Nick ends up with 284 points. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. I can't really talk about it because there's nothing to say.
He,
It's kind of ridiculous. But as anyone is shocked, right? How many points did he have last week? He had 284 points last week. Last week alone.
he got almost 300 points the first race. It was crazy.
Nick is total of 498 points right now, right? 288 of those points came last week. Second place is Peter with 245. Nick outscored Peter last week. He didn't even have to be here for the first week, and he was going to be winning this league right now. Peter's at 245. I'm at 244. So me and Peter are essentially on top, like right on top of each other. And you are at 235. So the
I'm
battle for
not
2, 3, and
sure.
4 are all over we're all right here. Zoogs is at 54 points over 2,
54.
which is hilarious. And I don't even know who Zoogs is,
I
which is awesome.
don't either. I love it.
But I, Nick's gonna be a problem, and it's unfortunate. But
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he's blows my mind. I don't know how yeah.
he did what he did. It's ridiculous. But looking at it now, I have not made any changes to my team that we're in because luckily for me, the Yuki Tsunoda madness that I had done was not for this team. So that's cool.
I haven't made
Um,
any changes. I don't think I plan on making any changes either, at least for now.
I kind of want to explore the idea of I want to see if this works because I like what Nick did in the fact that he did have McLaren.
Yeah, it's kind of a yeah, but also
I
like
could do it. I can't do it actually. What am I saying? Can I do it? Hold up. Let me do some math here. Because I don't want to also copy his team.
yeah,
I can do it. I can do Lando, Doohan, Bortoleto, Hajar, Behrman with Williams and McLaren.
because I hope you
I don't
know,
hate that.
I hope you have in mind right now that my second team has 374 points.
This is true. Your second team is kind of balling.
You and I are tied.
And the other, does this team really have 374 points and I just completely destroyed it because of my Yuki move? That's just wonderful to hear. Um, yeah, no, I'm not making any changes in either of them now. I have
Just wanted to point that out.
it's ridiculous. The other team I have Lando, Lawson, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Behrman, McLaren, and Williams. So basically exactly what I said I was gonna do here. I did on this team.
Yeah.
And in the family leagues, what do we got? Me and you are tied. Look at that. The
So I said,
podcast
you and I are
people.
tied.
Tori's in third now with
I
two
was just looking at
three.
hers.
I'm in fourth with my second team. My dad is in fifth. Sydney's in sixth. My friend Eddie, who joined, that's another fun one that we're gonna have to keep an eye on. Eddie is one of my friends from baseball, from high school and middle school and all around. He's one of my best friends ever. He wasn't here week one, so he
Yeah,
didn't
I was gonna
have
say
any
he scored
points.
an insane amount of
He
points.
put 212 up this week. So he made sure to tell me that if he was here for week one, he would be up there with us, and he is not wrong. His team is actually very interesting too. It's Signs,
I know.
Antonelli, Yuki, Oscar, Almond, Racing Bulls, and Williams with 4 million left over. So
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't really know what his plan is there, but I support it.
I It worked the first week, so he's gonna do it
I
again.
support it.
But we'll see how it happens, I guess.
I support.
But like always, if anyone would like to join it, please let
Like,
us know. DM us on our
just
Instagram, tread one
either dominate
at one
or
tread lightly. Right?
eat
That's the
our
Instagram handle.
words.
What is the Instagram handle? I don't even know right now.
Our what?
Our Instagram handle.
I don't know. I kind of
Tread
forget.
lightly F1 with periods before each word. So go and DM us if you want to be a part of it because
Yes, sir.
we can always use more people. But I think that leads us to our last topic, Sid.
All right, this is
Got a race this
my least
weekend
favorite question.
because we're always wrong every single time that we've done it.
I don't even remember what I said last week.
I
I think I said Esty Bestie, which
I believe I said Oscar was out of the podiums last week because I said Oscar was going to win the first race and then was out of the podium, and then Oscar
yeah.
won the race this week. So I got it just backwards. But the last night race, as in like we live in America on the East
Yeah,
Coast, that we are going to
our
have to
last
stay
night
up
was
until one
for
in
a
the morning this
second.
week. But last 1 a.m. race of the season. The next latest race would be the 11 p.m. Vegas race. However, we have our plan for that one, which you guys will hear about later. So it's cool. What are we thinking? Because I don't, I have my bold predictions and my fun predictions. I know they're going to be wrong, but I want to hear what you have.
I just don't even know is the problem. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Let's look at race results.
I will also say the Japanese Grand Prix of 2024, if you want those results, it's not going to help you. I will say that.
Of course not.
Max won because shocker, right? Checo got second. He's obviously not here anymore. Sainz got third, also not going to happen. Leclerc got fourth, Lando got fifth.
Yeah,
So
that doesn't help at all.
Doesn't help at all,
Okay.
right?
Let's see here. I'm gonna give my top five and then my wild card, and that's as much as I'm gonna give you because I feel like this grid is such a mess right now. It is so hard to predict, and with all of the moving around. Okay, I'm gonna go on a whim and I'm gonna do Norris first. I'm gonna do Russell second.
Really interesting.
I'm gonna do Max third. I'm feeling a Max race sometime soon.
See, the last time we predicted Oscar out of the podium, it didn't end well for us.
I know. So I'm gonna put Oscar at fourth.
Okay.
And then fifth, I'm gonna I'm gonna put Leclerc.
Okay.
I'll give top seven.
Keep going. You know you want to keep going,
I
so
know I do. I'm gonna do Leclerc. And then I'm gonna put Kimmy and then I'm gonna do Lewis. I don't know if I trust Lewis enough yet. I don't think there's enough time.
well, that's seven. So let's see. You sound like you want to do 10 now.
Not really. I don't know where to place Yuki because it's gonna be his first race.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to make these predictions because I'm gonna say something that isn't gonna happen, but I really want to happen, right? So,
I'm gonna put Yuki top 10 and then I'm gonna put Ollie.
okay. I like that.
I did top 10. But on a whim, SD Bestie podium this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really gonna happen. But we'll go to mine, compare it a little bit. I think Lando wins. I think he's going to get back to groove this week. I think Oscar comes second. I think it's going to be McLaren
I
1-2
agree.
this entire season. I'm gonna say
Which
it.
I would love. I would love that.
I'm gonna say this because I want to. It's not gonna happen. I
I know what you're
really,
gonna
really want it to
say.
happen. We're just going to say for the sake of the podcast that Yuki's gonna podium and get third.
Which I
Because
would love. That'd be awesome.
I would love that. His home race, a big gigantic screw you to helmet, and it would just be really funny. I think he's the guy that could drive that car. So he will get third. I'm going to go Russell fourth. I'm going to go Max fifth. I'm going to go Leclerc six. This is where it gets tricky because I don't know what to do with Lewis. He's the wild card. But
Problem, he's the wild card. I
I
think
think
it's
you
too
have
early
to
on
put
in
him
the
seven
season.
though. I think Lewis has to go seven. I'm going to go Alex Albon eight.
Oh, good choice.
I'm going to go Kimmy nine. I'm going to go Sainz 10. I think this is the weekend Williams figures it out a little bit.
I hope so. Again, I've heard, I think I heard rumors that the car might be changing, hopefully.
But there's also a world that Lawson gets points and RB because he's back.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
The
this is going to
middle
be
is
one of the more
so
competitive
hard.
races in a while.
The middle is so hard to predict because I mean, you still have Pierre, which I feel like he always performs well.
Gasly's been on his game. He's just gotten incredibly unlucky the last couple weeks, but it's just
I
so
don't
like
know.
this midfield is so ridiculously good and close. It's kind of like Haas, like you don't know what to do with them because they were so bad week one and so good
They're
last week.
so good. That's
Don't
what I'm
know what to do with
saying.
them.
Haas is always a while. I feel like Haas and Williams are like kind of, in my opinion, going hand in hand right now. I feel like Williams is more on the winning side of that
I would
argument.
agree. I don't think you can really. I think the only team that is not in that conversation right now to be like a middle tier team and like a very good team would be Sauber, because not that their
They just
driving lineup's bad. Like Bortoleto, I think
no
is going to be really
cars
good.
are
Hulkenberg's good.
horrible.
The car's just terrible.
The cars are horrible.
RB's fast. Like the RB is fast. I don't know where to put them. Alpine, I never really know because Doohan's really bad, but Gasly's really good. You're gonna probably have to put the second Red Bull car in there somewhere because I'm being optimistic with Yuki because I want to, but like let's be realistic, it's probably down there too. I don't know what to do with Aston Martin because it's so backwards right now, and the fact that Stroll's
They're
the
like
good
at the
one and
end of the
Alonso's the
pack.
bad one.
They're like at the end, and that's why I said it's so hard because you've had Stroll that's performed very well, and then you have Haas that's performed very well, and then you've also had
So
Williams that has performed very well.
let's do this. I want to hear, this is completely unplanned, but now that we're thinking about it, like it's not on our notes. I want to hear the rankings of the teams as you have them right now. With everything going into consideration. Like obviously Red Bull's probably gonna be lower than you probably should because of the fact we don't know the second car. I'm curious where
I
you
would so obviously McLaren won.
I'm gonna write
I
this
think
down too because I wanna document
there's
this for end
yeah,
of the
there's
season.
no question. We've got 10 teams. We only have 10 teams to go through. This is easy. McLaren won. That's an easy for me. I would say Mercedes second. I
So
would put Ferrari third. And then I'm gonna put Red Bull. And then I'm gonna put Williams.
I'm
And then
looking
I'm
at
gonna
the same
put
reports here.
Haas, Aston Martin, Alpine. No, you know what? I'm gonna go Haas, Alpine, Aston Martin, Racing Bulls, and then Kick.
See, that's where it gets so confusing at the end because I was agreeing with you up until the end. There's a couple of changes I'm gonna make. I'm gonna say we're gonna agree in the fact that McLaren is the by far best team, right? So McLaren is
Hmm.
one. I like Mercedes too. I still have Red Bull 3 just because Max is Max.
Of
So
course. I don't know what Yuki's gonna provide. That's what I said.
I
I
don't
was
know.
iffy on that one too. I'm not gonna lie to
But
you.
again, like 2 through 4 can all be interchangeable too because Mercedes still has a rookie. It's just Russell's kind of looked the best out of everyone else, right? It's been the
Mhm.
McLaren's 1, 2, and then Russell's been constantly competing for 3 or 4
I
with
agree.
Max, right?
I agree. I agree.
I just think Kimi's a better second driver than whoever the Red Bull is going to have. So Mercedes, Red Bull. I'm putting Ferrari 4 just because the strategy is shambolic at all times. You never know what's going to happen. So therefore, Williams 5. That's we agree on that. We all know that. This is where it gets interesting, right? Because you have Racing Bulls as second to last, and I have Racing Bulls here because of the fact that they've looked so competitive with the actual Red Bull car. I feel like it's going to be coming together because the results haven't showed for it, right? Yuki did not look good in terms of results, right? But during the actual race, he's looked great. Granted, he's
True.
not racing it
True.
now, but they've looked very good. So I'm putting Racing Bulls there. And now I don't know where to go from here.
I think I had Williams and then I put
You put
Haas.
Haas, and that's where I'm leaning.
Because again, I feel
I'm going to agree with that because I think Ollie's a lot better than people give him credit for, and he's going to show that. And Ocon is consistently consistent. He's never
and
like
I love it.
he's not going to be competing for podiums like he did last year for that one race, but he's
No.
going to be consistently middle of the pack fighting for points, right? So you get that. But now again, I'm lost because I don't trust Alpine. I trust Gasly, but I think doing so much worse than everyone else that I don't know if
I
I can really count it.
agree. But I feel like Alpine has always just performed just enough.
Yeah.
You
And
know what I
Flavio
mean?
Briatore being there now is it's going to be interesting with it because he has brought some change to them.
Yeah. But they
But
also
at
have
the same
hero
time,
points.
it's like you have Flavio Briatore, who's known for being the flamboyant and big shot guy in F1 for years in the past, got the money to kind of promote the team as well. But I'm now putting him against Lawrence Stroll, who's the exact same person, just without the success, right? He's just got a lot more money and a lot less success, but he's just as polarizing as Flavio is. So, because of that, I think I'm going to go Aston now, just because Stroll's outperforming what he's been performing lately, right? Like last couple of years, he's outperforming, right?
So weird, but I'm happy for him.
Exactly, right? There's no way Alonso's going to continue to be this bad. So,
I don't think so either. He's too tenured for him to be performing that way.
exactly. So I'm going to go Aston Martin over Alpine. Alpine is second to last. Sauber dead last. I really, really hope that changes because I like Bortoleto and I like Hulkenberg, but I just don't see it right now.
I mean, it's even based off last season too. Like they were horrible, other than when they led for like 2 seconds and performed well.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And
It's
that
also
was,
going to be
I think
interesting
that
to
was
see next year.
Brazil.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see next year too because you have another team involved with Andretti Cadillac. And I'm
Cadillac.
I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to be like a Haas kind of team that's around. Maybe they're a bad example, like call it an Aston Martin, because they're gonna have funding, they're gonna have people that pay for it, and they're an American team, so they're going to be popular, right? With all the American people here. Not to mention expansion team, they're always going to be rooted for because of that. Are they going to be better than Sauber as they turn to Audi, right? Because they're gonna get the influx of money.
I feel like they are.
It's going to be an interesting one just because Sauber, Audi, Sauber, however you want to call it, they're going to get their influx of money. They're going to be better, and the new
Yeah,
regulation.
it'll definitely be interesting. I'm feeling Ford versus Ferrari type vibes with that
I can
situation. I don't know
I
if
can
you're like
imagine.
catching on to that.
It's America versus not America in
And
this
we saw
case.
how that turned out
This is
little
Germany in this
man,
case, as opposed to Italy, but it's
with our poor little man Logan.
which he's just out of racing completely now. We keep going off of script here because obviously we're running out of time to do this. We're having a
I
longer
know.
podcast than normal. We're over an hour already, which is awesome. But um, I saw something today that said Checo was weighing options for a seat next year, which the fact that he's weighing options for a seat this early screams that Cadillac is trying to get him because they want a
Yeah.
North
I mean,
American
but who else
driver.
are they gonna do? Danny Rick's not coming
No,
back.
but they don't even they just need one experienced driver, and that can be Checo. He can be the number one guy and get a young guy. That I think is
Yeah.
going to be their kind of structure. You still have Franco Colapinto out there. We don't know what he's doing.
I
Let's forget
totally
about
forgot
him.
about him.
Because that was the rumor that Red Bull was trying to do, right? They were going to buy out Colapinto from Alpine, put him in the RB seat, and
Oh
get rid
my
of Lawson.
gosh. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
So I could see a Cadillac move of Franco Colapinto and Checo next year, and I think they can be very competitive. However, I could also see Franco taking the Alpine seat this year after doing gets cut mid-year, which I think
I was
will
gonna
happen.
say, yeah. Is he up for contention for that?
Yeah, it's he's the reserve driver right now. So
Wow, I haven't heard that name in a while. I totally
it's
forgot about
he's
him.
very forgettable because of the fact that he was so good last year and somehow doesn't have a seat this year. But
I
it's
totally forgot about him.
it's silly season isn't there yet. We're still a couple months away from that. So
Yeah.
we'll
Oh,
when we
I
get news, we'll
totally
talk about
forgot
it.
about
It's gonna be
him.
great. So
It'll be exciting.
it
I'm
will.
excited. We got a race coming soon.
We got a
Actually,
race.
now that I think about it, practice starts in 10
10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. We would do a live reaction to that, but I can tell, I don't know if you hear it, but my nose is getting really stuffy and I don't
I
like
can
it.
hear it.
I don't like it at
I
all.
can
But
hear it. The weather's
um,
changing.
it was
No,
I think it's
I
gotten worse
totally
as we're
forgot.
here.
I'm totally forgot about Franco. I'm so mad I forgot about Franco.
I
He's such a little
don't think
cutie.
he's gonna be forgettable very soon. So I think he's gonna be back eventually. But
We got it. We'll figure it out. I
yeah,
guess. They need to figure it out.
they definitely do. But
I love it.
I think we've covered everything for
Yeah, I think
episode
it's
three. Tread
great
lightly.
catch up, great episode, great predictions. I'm excited.
We had a lot more
Mood
into it this week as we
occurred.
did last week. We had I think the week break was needed as like a little we got to kind of figure out what's going on in terms of how teams are actually performing,
A little
but it also
breather,
allowed us to kind of ramble for longer than we usually do. So,
which I love. I'm excited.
oh
I
my
love
God,
it.
we're
Love
gonna try
it.
doing weekly uploads. City doesn't have any trips
Yes.
planned anytime soon. I do, but
Yeah,
that's in
I
June. We
know.
got some time. We got some.
We got
But
time.
yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Love it.
It's
Thank you guys.
always
We will
fun.
see you next week
Join the
when we
fantasy
see
team, the fantasy league.
the
Follow the
outcome.
Instagram, and we'll
Please
see you next week.
share. Please like, follow, comment,
Share, tell your friends.
subscribe.
We need we need the Monaco money, please.
Yes, please.
We'll see you guys next week.
Right.
Have a good race weekend, guys.
Guys.